Hello everyone and welcome to our Game Week 10 preview. I'm Chris and I've got Keek here as well. Kieran, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm tip top. How are you?
Yeah, very, very good as well. Looking forward to doing a bit of a deep dive. We're going to be talking about captaincy today in the main because, Game Week 10's around the corner. Haaland's playing away at Man City and he's not been performing so well, so we've got a few players to chat about. But first, let's just have a quick look back at Game Week 9. Should we just talk about our points and our scores?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to lead off? Because I believe you had the highest return.
Sure. Okay, so I got 87 points, which took me from a fairly nice green arrow from 360k to 257k.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of expected more with 87 points and only kind of like I guess four people blanking in my team, but most like some decent hauls everywhere else. So yeah, I kind of thought I'd go a bit higher, but yeah, I suppose I can't be complaining too much where I was a few weeks ago. So yeah, 257k at the moment is pretty good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, all my benching decisions worked out. Yeah, all good.
No, very nice. And the team looks like, obviously from the wildcard the week before, looks set up to go for like the next few weeks. And it looks nice with
2 free transfers as well. So yeah, some stuff to decide.
Do you actually need to use them? Or do you like both of them? I feel like
I don't know, but it's just the team. Obviously, we'll talk about it later. But it's just whether I decide to bring in like a Bowen or a Saka or the Arsenal players
ahead of their juicy run. All right. What did I ended on 80? I thought it was going to be a red arrow week as well, just because even though I was giving it all that back Morris, I still obviously appreciate Watkins is such good form, Alvarez, and I had no chance of getting them without a hit. And any hit I would have involved Mwembo, which in some aspects I'm glad I didn't do that because he was like one of my highest returners. All of my midfielders returned, and then Haaland. But yeah, Morris and all my defenders just blanked or got zero. Botman obviously kind of was hoping he would be fit enough to play, and now it seems like he's out for another 2 weeks. So him and Bell are just like rotting away. I just hate. I've had like some crap luck with defenders this season. I feel like I'm making a lot of transfers to get rid of them, but anyway, it's just a bad timing. But all right this week, and I had 2 free transfers. I've already used 2 free transfers and another one.
Oh wow!
So the -4 was in place. So I've got a nervy watch of Europa League tomorrow. So yeah, we'll talk more about that.
Imagine if Watkins gets injured. Assuming you've bought in Watkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Crazy.
I know. Gonna have to rely on. I mean, I've made a -4, and I haven't done anything about Botman or Bell. Like they're still in the team. So.
I you wish you had a wild card right now.
I wish I had a wild card. Yeah. All right. Let's. So, like I said, the main discussion point this week, I think, has got to be captaincy. I mean, you and I have gone against Haaland once each so far this season. Is that right?
Yep.
Against Arsenal away, and obviously Salah Brighton that weekend.
Yep.
This weekend he's away at United. His returns haven't been like great, really. Apart from that one big haul this season, he's been consistent, right?
Yep.
So we'll have a bit of a chit chat. But do you want to start by talking about the positives for going Haaland this week? Because United looked pretty woeful again against Copenhagen last night.
Yeah. So obviously he's scored 8. 2, 2, 6, 6, and 20. So those have been his returns over the last 6. So he is sort of ticking along still. Obviously, there was 2 blanks. One of those was when we went for Salah, captain, which is obviously nice. But he is still ticking along. He is still getting the chances. So game week 3 to 9, he's 14 big chances. So the 6-week sample size. It's not a small sample size anymore. There's
a lot
of all players across the whole game. And the next closest was on 8. So. But the interesting thing is he hasn't actually registered another big chance since game week 6. So in 3 weeks he's had no big chances, which is kind of wild, really. So his XG is still first, 7.08 of all players in the game. The next closest is 4.68 of that. That's of forwards anyway. Another big lead obviously for him there in the XG. But however, again, with the big chances from game week 7 to 9, he's only gotten 0.3 XG over 3 games. That was 0.06 XG versus Wolves, 0.00 versus Arsenal, and then against Brighton, you'd expect to probably do a lot better.
Yeah.
Only 0.26 XG. Obviously, you did get that goal, but you'd think it would be a bit higher and a haul potential in that game. So yeah,
I was expecting a haul as well. And obviously with Salah the early kickoff. I'm always quite against backing the early kickoff, and now I think Salah has outscored him. Liverpool's always have seem to always have a 12:30, but I think he's outscored Haaland in both the 12:30s they've had this season. And when obviously the weekend had just passed and you got those 2 goals, I was just thinking, man, even if Haaland returns now, I don't think it's going to do much for the overall rank because we're still going with the herd and Salah's done well. So yeah, even 1 goal was obviously great to, a captain return, great, but it isn't, I don't know, it's not like some weekends where you think, right, I'm going to make a big dent in this still. It's just, yeah. So like we've been saying, it's just having the balls to go different, and this weekend on paper looks like it'll be tough, but really looking at United, I just don't think they're quiet really.
Yeah, Man United's defensive form from game week 3 to 9, their XGC of 9.7 with 11 goals conceded, 79 shots conceded, 51 shots in the box, 11 big chances conceded, and United's defense is around 5th to 10th across the board for defensive numbers, so they're pretty average. But eye test wise says they look pretty open in most games. They looked pretty shaky even against Copenhagen last night in the Champions League. They did get a clean sheet, but I don't know. Maguire's come in for 2 games, got 2 clean sheets. Maybe that's something. So funny thing is, I think I saw on Twitter, I don't know the exact numbers because I couldn't find the tweet again, but I think it's when he started, Maguire, they've won 14 out of 15 games he started. And without him, it's been something like 1 win and 20 odd draws, losses and stuff. So, 2 clean sheets all season so far. No clean sheet in Premier League since Burnley in game week 6. So, City have won 4 of the last 6 meetings with an aggregate of score of 15-8. Haaland has scored a hat-trick versus them in that 6-3 last season win, but blanked goal-wise in 2 other meetings as well. So he's not a surefire bet this week. Obviously, it's usually a bit of a leveler. United do certainly look open. I think last year, a lot of people went away from, I think it probably was Haaland actually, when this fixture happened, and a lot of people didn't captain Haaland, and obviously he got a hat-trick or whatever year it was. It must have been last year, right? Probably the first game or something. It
was the first game they played at the Etihad for that 6-3 though, but I didn't captain him that game. I don't think you did either. We captained Salah at home. Oh, did you?
I think I did. I'm sure I captained him when a lot of people went away from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe it was Salah actually. I don't know.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that you and I captained Salah over Haaland when City played United at home and he scored the hat-trick. It was the same game. Foden got 3, and you were slightly happy. You were more happy because that had happened.
Yes.
Whereas I didn't have Foden, but he didn't return against United last season. I seem to remember it was De Bruyne assist for a Grealish header, and United won 2-1 at Old Trafford. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So he's not returned there, but that's not to say he can't and won't. I think it's an interesting game, this one. Like you say, the second game last season at Old Trafford was okay, and you'd expect a bigger game to be tighter. But when you look at the historical between these two, United have just got a habit of falling to pieces, and you look at their recent form as well, and it's not. I don't know. It's not reliable, and it's another game where on paper I'm really keen to say, look, I want to move away from Haaland captaincy, but then you look at these numbers and just think that. Look at the recent games. They conceded against Sheffield United. They should have conceded last night. Some of the chances Copenhagen had for them to not convert were atrocious, really.
They play away at Young Boys in the Champions League tonight. So Shimi will play. If he looks really good in that game, I think a lot of people are still going to captain him. If he scores a couple goals, then I would be scared to go against him for sure.
What do you think? Where are you? I kind of thought you'd be against him from now. So are you captaincy on Haaland right now?
It is at the moment, but I haven't really got an inkling of where else I definitely go because the options seem to be so wide open. There isn't an obvious other choice, which is obviously probably pretty good for rank. But if you get it wrong,
it could be bad.
And it could be really bad. But all the other options on paper all have really good games. It's just picking the right one, isn't it?
Yeah. My immediate thought, I'm happy to chat about now, has just been Salah because of his reliability recently, sort of in the league and at home. And as soon as the game loaded in, or sort of the not the game loaded in, the sort of game week flicked up to start showing this week's fixtures and I sort of started to do my bus team, it was immediately Salah captain. And I haven't really thought about changing it. So returns for Salah in the last 4, 16, 15, 1 and 10. And that one was that Spurs game where perhaps he should have got the assist and all that debacle with the refereeing. Then at home this season, it's been great. 16, 10, 8 and 5. So all decent returns apart from that 5. 9.7 on average points per game. Slightly worse than Watkins, but he's not blanked at home. And I think if you look at Liverpool at home, they've been great as well from an attacking sense. Second for XG. This is in the last 4 games. 9.1 and 8 scored. So they're sustainable numbers, and they're third for XG at home over the course of this season with 10.8 and 11 scored. So again, really sustainable. Obviously, Forest are their own sort of different beast away from home. They were played quite well in the away game against Arsenal at the beginning of the season. They're the 9th worst for XGC. Away from home so far this season, so that's not bad. That's mid-table. They conceded just 7 goals in 5 games, which is slightly just average of just over 1. So it would go against their recent form this season to concede 2 or 3, but I think Liverpool are good enough to do that. My only concern a little bit with Salah, I know these returns, we've talked about it, it's just what he's had a lot of penalties this season, so you're relying on them. Yeah. He hasn't scored that many open play goals, which is a bit of a worry. That goal he scored against Everton was, last minute on the break. I don't know. It's just I think it is a really tricky one this week, which is obviously why we wanted to dedicate some time to talk about it. But from my immediate gut pick is that on paper Salah's game is easier and Liverpool are more likely to return well at home. So yeah, that's sort of how I'm. It's difficult to go against him though, which is what we found all season. I hate it.
Yeah, they're probably the best team on paper of the other options, I guess.
I think so. Yeah, because I think there's good arguments against for most of the other teams.
Yeah, obviously Palace away for Spurs is obviously Palace did just get ripped apart by Newcastle, so they can be scored on quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like Spurs are possibly a bit more counter-attack dependent than Newcastle. So, and then there's obviously the Watkins shout, the Bowen shout. There's so many others. So I guess I should move on to someone else. So Saka, Arsenal obviously have Sheffield United at home, who we haven't mentioned either. So the Arsenal players like Odegaard, possibly.
Great fixture as well.
Martinelli, Jesus, if he's fit. He had a bit of a hamstring worry last night. So everyone's saying it's possibly nothing, but he was supposed to be getting a scan. So I guess we'll see. Probably won't be risked for this, which usually seems to make Martinelli worse if he's playing with Nketiah. So
that makes Saka better.
Yes, yeah. Saka's obviously still 47% owned, 8.5 million. He's only blanked twice all season. He's had 5-0, 9, 13, 6, 4, 4, 8, 3, 10. So, consistent as ever. Played 90 minutes after missing the Game Week 8 and international break. Played 90 in the Champions League last night as well. So, he's back and obviously fit again. However, the last game against Chelsea, he had 0.0 XG, which is obviously not good, but very good cross from the Trossard goal. So he has multiple routes to points, which is obviously a good thing when you're looking at captaincy. So game week 3 to 9, his XG has been 3.63, which is second only behind Salah. But if you look at his non-penalty XG, it's 2.03, which is 11th of all mids, which is a worrying drop-off, obviously. And there's the likes of Doucouré, Souček, Gordon, Rashford, Sterling. Even Rashford's been terrible. All of those have higher non-penalty XG than he does. So, that's something to consider. 6 big chances, which is second behind Burn, which is obviously good. 12 shots, drops him out of the top 20 of all midfielders, which is not a lot of shots. Key passes 17, which is 6th. Big chances created is 3, which is joint or 19th of all mids. XA of 2.34, which is 4th. So I don't know where the sort of strange oddity of big chances created of being 19th and then an expected assist of 2.34.
Just been really good chances, I suppose.
Yeah, so the numbers for his sort of talent and his output level is kind of bad for stats wise. But his numbers historically have never been that good. They've always been, but he has always been consistent in FPL. So, and he is this season too. So, like this fixture, like especially against like Sheffield United. So their form, their defensive form. Okay, the XGC of 17.3 is 20th with 21 goals conceded, which is 20th as well. So the big chances, 32, 20th, 150 shots conceded, 20th, 97 shots in the box conceded, 20th, 60 on target conceded, 20th, 27 headed chances conceded, 20th. So they're bottom in everything for defensive for Sheffield United. So like Saka, like he possibly doesn't have the numbers, but he has the consistent form. And he's against like literally by far the worst team defensively in the league. So, it's a play on fixture plus consistent. You're probably not going to get a massive haul from him, but maybe you will. Maybe he'll take 2 penalties instead of giving one away, and maybe he'll get an assist because obviously there's all those headed chances. There's potential for this Arsenal game for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing which I find it hard to captain Saka over Salah just on this fixture alone. Like the fixture is great. Like there's no denying Sheffield United are terrible. I just think that he's, as a player, he's not as greedy as Salah. Like the fact he's prepared to give up penalties is obviously like really nice for the Arsenal team, and they're all lovely. They give a penalty to Havertz. But if that like happened with Liverpool, there's absolutely no way Salah's handing the ball over to anyone else to take the penalty, and that's what sort of puts me off him a little bit, which is a shame because I think that the fixture is great, and this season he's been really good. So there's nothing really to put you off. I think it's just that knowing that he's not greedy enough, and looking at his returns, you kind of want your captaincy option if it's not going to be Haaland to someone who can be explosive, and he's got a 10 and a 13, but that's only 2 double digits this season. I think Son's got 3, Salah's got 4. I think Watkins might have got 3 as well this season, so might be 2. You have to maybe correct me on that, but he doesn't look like he's. I think it's 2 for Watkins actually. So the same as Salah. So sorry, the same as Saka. I love Saka as a player, and I'm happy to have him in the team, and obviously his ownership's high, so you've got the comfort of feeling that if he does return, people are probably you're with the crowd rather than against it when it's this high. But I don't know, it just seems to me like he's more of a risk than Salah over Haaland.
Yeah, you're probably right. He doesn't seem to haul or that much often, so. It's just a lot of people don't even own him. I don't own him at the moment. It's whether the only way I can get to him is selling Son, and I don't really want to do that with a decent fixture.
Even with Sheffield United, you think you might go without him this week, and because they've got good fixtures at home. I mean, I appreciate the Newcastle game is bad for them, but they're like next 3 home fixtures are as juicy as they can get. Sheffield United, Burnley and Wolves at home, and then Luton and Brentford away are sprinkled in there as well. They're nice at the moment.
Yeah, I think I watched a video, just a quick Twitter video from Gianni Butis. I think he's got. I'm not sure he's pronounced. On his on Twitter, saying that like Son was top for midfielders for big chances, top for like goals and shots and stuff. So even in bad games, he's good. It's tough to get rid of him when there's. Son just always looks good. He's so clinical. That team is so attacking. They don't have really any, or do they have any Europe to worry about? I don't think they do. No. So, Son seems like someone I should probably be keeping. But at the same time, there's the only way to get to him, because I have a bit more funds in my defense with Gabriel. The only way to get to him is Saka is selling Son. So
yeah, I think it's different for me. Like so. Well, obviously I had Saka already, so I'd made my bed that I knew I was selling Son before watching the Fulham game, and obviously that's made it harder to sell him. I think probably what's it's got to be factored in is the points difference as well, like the price difference. Like he's 1 million cheaper Saka than Son, and I suppose it's what you do with that extra million in your team. Are you using it to upgrade someone else? Well, like in that, that could be like not a luxury, because like Trippier's doing really well, or Trent might be a nice luxury. Do you know what I mean with that extra money?
For lots of teams, it could be a Son and a Maddison, or a Son and a Diaby to like a Saka and a Bowen or something like that.
Exactly.
Which obviously sounds good on paper, but Diaby's not an issue. Son's not really an issue right now. It'd be nice if I could roll a third transfer, but
that would be juicy.
It is just that like Sheffield United. I feel like from the eye test they haven't been that bad, but maybe that's just because they played United and United are not great right now. So I don't know. I kind of feel like the Arsenal are a team that are going to destroy teams either. Know what I mean?
I know. I'm the same. I can't imagine them put like a show on and win 4
or
5-0.
But
they did win, sorry?
Yeah, they did against Bournemouth. They won
4-0. That's true.
Other than that, they aren't putting on tons of goals.
No, I kind of agree. I'd be surprised if they, scored 5 or 6 goals in a given game. Like Bournemouth are probably one of the worst teams in the league after Sheffield United. Before Sheffield United, if that makes sense. So, yeah, maybe they can do it again. But a couple of the goals in that game even came late. I feel like they're very good at just scoring a few and then controlling the game. They're not going to like blow a team away like City might have done last season, less so this. So no, it isn't really. I think it's a really difficult decision. I think the reason it's difficult is the reason I got rid of or was happy to get rid of Son. Obviously, I need to do it for team balance to upgrade my forward line, but I didn't think they're like the immediate fixtures are perhaps that good. But you're right. I think Son could defy the fixtures quite easily, given how much of a sort of centerpiece he's coming for that team.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat, like people are mentioning, it's worth possibly going without Saka until like game week 12. You can get back on it after that Newcastle game when they've got Burnley, Brentford, Wolves, Luton. So that's like a run the way you can get back if you sell Son after these two possibly. And then I think Harry's also mentioned that Luton apparently have more expected goals than City and Arsenal so far this season, which sounds
I know,
incredible.
I know.
I have not seen that.
Morris has got like of all the forwards, Morris is like third for XG over the course of the season so far. I think he's like ahead of Watkins. So, I know it only too well that they have been good, and typically they scored like a couple goals at the weekend when I've fancied them to. They're better away from home, and I fancied them to do well again that Forest game. Probably a bit false hope, and then they scored 2 goals, and Morris had been bloody taken off before that. I can't believe it.
But my plan before that Spurs game was to sell Son to Saka, so maybe I should just keep to it. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think it's
change.
I was going to say, I think probably like recency, like what happens, definitely has an effect. Like I was absolutely set on selling Son regardless of what happened with Fulham, and so I did it on Sunday just to avoid like missing out on players because of price rises. But now, if you'd asked me, am I going to sell Son? I'd probably think, maybe there's another way I can get rid of Morris, or maybe Maddison should be the one to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So no, I can understand why it's difficult.
I could sell Alvarez and a Maddison, and I could get like an Archer in and go 3. Well, I don't know how that works actually. But I could be selling Alvarez and getting someone up to Saka instead. There's that way to go with 2 free transfers. Yeah. But we're talking about our teams too much here. So,
we're talking about.
Do you want to go to Watkins?
Yeah, let's talk about Watkins, because I don't think he should be someone we should be overlooking for captaincy either. And it sounds mad to say that, but like maybe his fixture on paper maybe even as good as Arsenal's.
Yeah, sure.
But there's a small caveat in there, which is Villa, but I'll just talk about that. So just Watkins' returns, last 4, so 11, 5, that whopping 23 and 9, and then his returns at home this season, 11, 23, 5 and 5. So 11 points per game, which is, pretty increased because of that whopping 23-point game. But like Salah, he's not blanked at home this season. But the last 4 games, he and Villa have way overperformed their XG. So last 4 games, he's had an XG of 1.9 and 5 goals scored. And he's had an expected assists of 0.5 with 4 scored. 4 assists. So, he's overperforming on both of those metrics, which kind of points towards not being sustainable. But, he's been so consistent this season, you can't really I would say probably not to look too much into those numbers.
Confidence factor with them at the moment as well.
Exactly, yeah. There's the X confidence. But then if you look at Villa in the last 4, they've massively performed as well. So they're 9th for XG. They've had a total of 6.3 XG and scored nearly double that with 12 goals. And it'd just be interesting to see how that continues over this next run of still, decent games. The reason I think Watkins comes into focus is because of how bad away from home Luton are. So they have the worst expected goals conceded in the league away from home this season, and that's 11 goals conceded, which is the joint worst with Bournemouth and Brighton, who, Bournemouth we know about because they've definitely been like whipping boys this season and a good team to captain against, and Brighton maybe a bit more recently because of these games against, mainly the game against Villa. But yeah, Luton are sort of averaging nearly 2 goals conceded per game, so obviously nearly double what I said Forest were conceding earlier against Liverpool. So I kind of think, based on what Watkins has done recently, how Luton are playing on the road, I kind of expect him to score between 8 and 12 points, which, I would feel, it sounds crazy, but I feel more confident of Watkins being selfish and returning than Saka. And I would say, we know that Sheffield United are worse than Luton in pretty much all metrics apart from away from home potentially. So I don't know. I don't suppose you've thought about captaining Watkins this weekend like that? It wasn't until I really looked at it to say he actually looks like quite a good bet, and maybe it's just the thought of having him seemed like enough, but maybe we should be considering. I mean, he's got more points than Haaland this season, so it's from a points per game. There's not really like any doubt, and we know he's pretty good for playing 90, if not 89 minutes every week. So yeah, I don't know. He's not a player I'd considered until I really looked at it and thought, look, if I'm going to go away from Haaland, I think what puts me off a little bit, if I'm going to go away from Haaland, something about just having that stupid extra clean sheet point for midfielders is like, oh, I wouldn't normally be getting a clean sheet point, but if I captain Haaland, but now I can get one of those juicy clean sheet 2-pointers. So yeah, and I think it all adds up, and I think it's difficult to justify another striker call, I think, but midfielder makes it easier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, we're not captaining a early kickoff on a Saturday, so that's
exactly.
fine. So it could be a Salah, it could be Watkins. The early kickoff is a Chelsea versus Brentford, so they would need to consider for captaincy there.
Yeah, right.
So it's hard to bet against Watkins right now. Like, that fixture does seem really good. I don't feel like Luton have been that bad recently on eye test, but Villa have looked that good. So and Watkins doesn't strike me as someone who's definitely selfish. I think he'll lay on a player if they're there to score, I feel like. But even with Diaby in the same team, I feel like he's going to be due some points here as well. He's about to sort of boil over. There was a few times with that Zaniolo could have squared it to him in the box in the last game against West Ham, when he would have just been straight on for an easy shot on goal. There's points everywhere in that team. Cash, unfortunately, playing
not
back
getting the points.
Yeah, is not getting the points, obviously, but he's playing back as a normal sort of right back now, which is a shame. But if there's not a clean sheet or an attacking return from this week, I'll be pretty disappointed.
Would you get Cash if you want? I know we're going to talk about our cards later, but just a quick one when I mentioned him. Would you get Cash if you want a wild card now? He's quite expensive now at 5.1.
Yeah, he's gone up a lot, hasn't he? The next 3 are probably, but the next 5, other than the Spurs game, I think, the 4 others of Luton, Forest, Fulham, and Bournemouth, that's probably worth it. Yeah. No,
I kind of agree for in the short term, but I don't mind Pau Torres in there. Aston Villa are a strong team at home, so you could see them or him being sort of better value than Cash perhaps over those games if Cash is back to playing right back and maybe not getting forward as much. Anyway, so just on Watkins, he's really it feels like a bit of a roulette at the moment. I know I've had it on Salah, but when I looked at that and I thought, blimey, that is, those are some good numbers. It is tempting. Some food for thought there. Is there any players who caught your eye for notable mentions on?
I kind of did my notes before the Spurs games. So obviously, Son and Maddison are worthy captain options. Palace just got smashed. They could be captain options, but there's one we probably haven't considered who neither of us actually own, who's Trippier with Wolves away. Like Wolves obviously they haven't only scored. Sorry, I'm getting that completely right. They've only failed to score in one game so far this season, which is game 1 against United. So Wolves are scoring in games, but Newcastle's defense is obviously very good. So Trippier, high scoring defender at 59 points. He's the 4th highest scoring player in the game. Newcastle were top for XG at 16.22. So obviously he's not really contributing to the XG, but he is obviously getting the assist points for these goals. So 5th for XGC, which is 6.0, which I was kind of surprised they're lower than I expected. So 4th is on 6.8. The 3rd team is on 6.3. So there isn't actually much in it for their defense. But yeah, his XA is 2.96, which is the first of defenders, midfielders, forwards. He's
amazing.
Top for XA in the whole game. Key pass is 29, which is first of everyone as well in the whole game. Big chances created 7, first of everyone in the whole game. 12 bonus, which is the first in everyone in the whole game, and 277 BPS, which is first of everyone as well. So he's a monster on bonus. If he gets any kind of return, he's always going to get bonus. If they keep a clean sheet, he's probably likely to be involved in bonus too. This man is on fire at the moment, looking really good. Granted, a couple of the assists have been a little bit lucky, but the other numbers very much back him up as a solid asset and someone who's outperforming. Like obviously he's 7 million now, but he's outperforming other 7 million mids, other 7 million forwards ahead of all of those guys. So I look at my team and I'm like, I've got Diaby there. Why do I have Diaby instead of Trippier? Because Trippier is just like, I think he's 20 odd points ahead of Burn, who's the other Botman, Shah. So he's nearly doubling them and their points. So he's absolutely worth the money. And
I don't have any way to get him as well either.
I know it's difficult. I wildcarded and I didn't have him. I thought one of the defenders could at least cover him slightly, but they're absolutely not so far. I mean, they are a little bit, but you possibly need him plus another one for really gains from their defense.
Yeah.
You're
right about that.
Like Trippier has been that good that he is just, you've brought him in for Champions League tonight against Dortmund, who's obviously a scary opposition, but you expect him to do bits tonight too.
He's going to get a goal tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the only thing that's been missing from his game at the moment is like a free kick in the top corner, I guess, and a goal. So
he's made a mockery really of. I mean, I can't believe his price has gone up that much. Like, who are people not having to get in their team?
What did he start at? Was it 6?
6.5. It was 6.5.
Okay, so he hasn't gone up a million yet.
No, but even in that time, like you kind of felt like the fact that Trent did Trent start at 7.5 this season? 8. Oh, 8. God, yeah, he did. Yeah. So when you think he was like 1.5 mil cheaper than Trent at the start of the season, and when you compare them now, I just think. It's mad, and I've got, like I say, because I've got so much money invested in midfield and Haaland up front, and now Watkins. It's like who do you sacrifice? But you're right. He's providing such good value at that 7 million to be outscoring all those other more expensive players. So it's really really tricky to fit him in. But no, he could be a good captaincy shout. He's definitely left field. I think just because he's away from home, I wouldn't back the clean sheet as much as like guaranteed points, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I kind of think if I was going to captain Trippier in a game, if I had him, I'd do it in a home game where he's got the chance to, obviously, I'd say more likely to keep a clean sheet and get an attacking run as well.
I think this is the last fixture maybe Bournemouth away, but the last fixture you would ever consider captaining him, because obviously Wolves this week and then Arsenal, then Bournemouth away, and then Chelsea, Man United. Everton after that, Spurs after that. So the fixtures are like tightening up a little bit, but it's just if you really want to, like, he could get a 15-pointer this week easily.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we've talked about how we can't afford Trippier. What we thought we'd do this week is we would just share, because I know quite a lot of people seem to be on wildcard this week. So we thought we'd share a couple of wildcard drafts and just pick through our teams. Typically, I know Kieran sent me his, and I'd already done mine, and they're really similar, which shows how we think. So I've got them up on screen now. Do you want me to just run? I mean, they're barely different at all. It shows how much we're like in alignment with thinking. I think the main difference is you've decided to go for double Arsenal mids, and you've got Martinelli in there over Maddison, which I can totally understand, and you've got a Stupinen back in there in the defence. I take it. What I tried to do was afford a team that was within my budget, because I think my budget is like 102.2, and I appreciate everyone's going to have a different team value at this stage of the season. So I was looking at thinking, how can I get, and I'm still like 0.1 short of that. How could I maximise what I've got? And play. I don't think it. I mean, it was only 4 players different from my normal team, which made me kind of, I'm quite
Good
happy.
thing.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with my team. Yours is 5 players different. Do you want to talk to me about, I suppose with yours, especially if with 2 Arsenal mids is what you don't have at the moment, and then earlier you were only just talking about not sure about getting a Saka in this week.
Oh, his face, yeah. But I think on wildcard you would just back the fixture and just be like, it's such a good fixture, and obviously it's long term, isn't it? So it's not just captaincy for this week, but so obviously Arsenal mids, I would try and back them. Long term, they're usually pretty good. Martinelli at 7.7, as we mentioned the week before.
He looked good last night.
He's good value. He looked sharp last night as well. So his ownership is so low. I would. Why wouldn't you go there with him, really? The power 7, I guess, in attack is the 3-5-2, Bowen, Matoma as well. Matoma for the fixture swing. I think De Zerbi said today that Welbeck and March are going to be out for quite a while. So the forward line you could sort of sneak in a Pedro / Ferguson. Obviously, those two do still rotate with it because there's still that Adingra guy to go in there.
Yeah.
But a Brighton forward at quite cheap, he's probably going to be more nailed on than they ever would be usually because of the injuries. Seems quite good, but I guess Enciso is close to returning though. So that might be short-lived. But Matoma pretty much nailed on for most games, isn't he? He might get the odd rest, but I think for long term with the Brighton's fixture swing, he would be in there. Estepinian is in there at the moment as he's back in training. I think he's only doing solo stuff at the moment, so it would kind of be a long-term pick for him. So I think he's maybe like a week or so away. So it's just someone you can play, and obviously the good fixtures after that. Obviously Brighton's defense has not been good, but I'd back them to at least keep a few, and him to get some attacking returns in the good games that they have. Gabriel's in there obviously for the defense as well. Cash, obviously, we talked about earlier, is just someone for the next 5 who's just going to be good value. Udogi's still in there for now, just because Gabriel, Estepinian, and Udogi rotate fairly well. Spurs are keeping clean sheets, don't have Europe to worry about. And then, the goalkeepers of Areola and Turner. There's no reason to really go anywhere from those two, that's for sure.
Yeah, Davro in the chat said time to get rid of Haaland, and he's tempted himself. And I think that was quite an interesting... I mean, it's easy to do a wildcard draft that I'm not actually going to do in real life, if that makes sense, and get rid of Haaland. But, there's credit to go against it. I think if you are looking to make strides this season and go a little bit left field, there's reason you could quite feasibly have Alvarez instead of Haaland and pack your midfield with Salah, Saka, Son. Trying to think who else is a big hit in midfield.
You would get Trippier. You could possibly afford Trent. Obviously, you'd probably want to get another Liverpool because Liverpool's fixtures are good. Simicast, I don't know why I haven't put him in there. Simicast is good value at 4.4 with Robertson out for 8+ weeks or something, wasn't it? So, there's without Haaland, you can create a really good team. You're going to have bench issues, but if you get some rotating options, then that's probably fine.
I think without Haaland, you'd also get that. I say it's a benefit, but having him also seems like a bit of a disadvantage. But you've got the benefit of just being a bit more free thinking with your captain every week and not feeling like fear of missing out if you don't go Haaland.
Absolutely.
To be fair, if you had done that maybe 4 game weeks ago and gone and captain Salah every week, you would have comfortably outscored Haaland that time. So
big time.
And maybe that 7 million difference between Alvarez and Haaland. The squad could totally be reshaped. So I don't know. Maybe it would just it'd certainly be a wild card that is an option. I don't know if I would do it, but I'm quite conservative.
Haaland only has to have one big haul in one game,
That's
and you're
true.
just going to be absolutely regretting it and killing yourself because it's going to be impossible to get back. You probably would have to double down and not get back, and try and get back to the
your next wild
differentials.
card.
Yeah, and just keep going. But yeah, at that time at 80% owned, if he does get returns, then you're screwed a little bit. And he obviously can be good and get returns in any game. So yeah.
No, I agree. All right. Should we just move on to chat about our teams now and our thoughts ahead of this game week?
Yeah.
Do you
covered it slightly, I suppose. But
having the team up on the screen makes all the difference to everyone watching.
Do you want to go first?
I've put yours up first, actually. Okay, so it's already the big reveal of no moves done yet.
Yeah, at the moment I've got 2 free transfers. I've got 0 in the bank. Currently it's Burn on the bench. Udogi I think is going to be fine without Eze. They don't really. Palace don't really have much threat going forward.
You'd expect a clean sheet, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I do. I expect a clean sheet from all my defense, really, even Areola. Obviously, that will end up not happening, but yeah, Gabriel in. I bought him on the wild card for these sort of fixture swings. So Gabriel in for the Sheffield United, of course. It's just a question of having 2 free transfers and maybe selling Son for a Saka, maybe selling Alvarez and someone else to get Bowen in possibly. I haven't really decided. Maybe I could do Alvarez down to like an Archer and get like Anderson up to Bowen. That might be possible. And go 3-5-2.
Yeah, well, Alvarez it depends how much you've got in the bank. So if Alvarez is worth like 7 million selling price to you, and then you get rid of Archer is 4.5, then obviously if Anderson is 4.5 and Bowen's like 7.3. So unless you had like 0.3 in the bank.
No, I have 0 in the bank at the moment.
I'm guessing you probably can't do that then.
Damn. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. I could sell Son, I could sell Madison, I could do a lot of things. I think I want to give Diaby at least this week more.
Yeah, you couldn't sell before Luton at home, could you?
Yeah, maybe I just ignore Saka and stuff for 2 weeks and get them from game week 12 onwards.
And burn a transfer. God, what a luxury! You could give one to me and then get it back, and then I could get rid of Bell.
I could do Madison to Martinelli. I could do that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, you did that on your wild card.
I could do a Madison to Bowen too, so that's also an option.
And keep Son.
Keep Son, yeah.
I take it. I mean, we haven't really spoken about this very much, but keeping one or the other was an interesting. Is an interesting choice for some people because most, I'd say, have both. I just think Madison seems like such good value this season, and for quite a lot less than Son, it's like 2 million less. I just have to double check how many points difference they are, but I don't think it's at the moment it's what maybe it'll just keep growing over the course of the season. But he's 12 points behind him at the moment at this stage of the season. He's 2 million less. That seems like quite a lot of money to invest elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, Madison compared to Saka and Bowen, Madison's 56 points, Bowen's on 58, Saka's on 58. So it's pretty much nothing between them. Saka's obviously $1 million more expensive than Bowen and 0.4 more expensive than Madison. So, the fixture run for Bowen is obviously really good. Yeah. But, as I saw Praz from FPL talk about it, that if Bowen or Antonio is ever going to get dropped, him going up the top, and they seem to be a counter attack team. They're against teams that are not going to let them counter attack. So is he going to be as lethal and productive in these upcoming fixtures? I would presume not, to be honest. So I don't know if Bowen is definitely someone I need.
No, totally, understand where you're coming from with Bowen. I think it's just one of those things where he's done so well so far this season, and he's scored against teams that have sat back and gone forward. Yet, he's in the top 4, top 5 over mid. So you kind of think with those fixtures coming up for such a good amount of time, you kind of back the player's form to continue delivering. So. Yeah, I can understand. I can understand why you would go against him, but then very much I think the fixes are on Bowen's side.
Yeah. So right now I really don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, it's tricky. Right, let's bring up my team. So Kieran's mulling it over. I certainly was, but earlier this week, so it's all done now. So what did I do? So Morris, Mbuemo, and Son, of course, all left the team in place of Bowen, Watkins, and I got Gordon in as well. Still, I'm considering a little bit maybe to get rid of Botman for another -4 to get an Arsenal defender, but I don't know if it's really worth it this week.
How much is in the bank now?
Oh, like 0.5 or something. Maybe even 0.6.
You can get to an Arsenal defender then, Gabriel, I guess.
Yeah, I can do. Well, I can do Botman to Saliba, so
Okay.
I think I've got that, and maybe 5.3. So yeah, it's got a bit of funds there. And as I was telling you on Sunday, the hardest decision, I had to make the moves on Sunday before price rises to Bowen and Watkins, and I wanted to get them. I wanted to get Watkins especially back because I had him at the start of the season, and he's gone on to do really well. And I kind of think, right, let's just get back onto that. I kind of think he and Bowen are a better combination for this run of fixtures, especially than Son and Morris, because I can't rely on Morris to get a big return. So
yeah, almost definitely.
Yeah, from a points view, and comparing Muembo needed to come out as well, and I really wanted to get Matoma, but where it put me is if I got rid of Muembo for Matoma, I could only get rid of Anderson for Gabriel rather than Botman, and I still think because I got burned earlier in the season by having Gabriel, I'm just like really worried about his rotation again, so I didn't want to go there again, and I'll probably, if I get an Arsenal defender, get Saliba. Just for hopefully more assurance of starts, maybe Zinchenko, but to be honest, more likely than Saliba, and I could do that for Botman. So yeah, that's where I've landed. And Gordon as well. He just looked like his numbers were pretty much as good or better than Matoma across the board. He's got more returns than him so far this season. He's about $1 million cheaper, and Newcastle as a team are performing better than Brighton for XG, which they've had some tough fixtures as well. And what I kind of think Newcastle will do, I know that I'd say their fixtures are probably on paper rougher. They've got Wolves away this week, then Arsenal, then Bournemouth. So the next three are not bad. They've got Chelsea and United, who definitely won't keep a clean sheet at St James's Park. I kind of feel like St James's Park is getting towards like fortress territory. They just seem to like turn teams over, and they can get big scores. Like they've done it against Villa, they've done it against Palace so far this season. Obviously, they're top for XG for a reason. And Gordon the way I looked at it was like he was, because of my team value, he was like similar price to Morris, and he was delivering so much more for that money. So it sort of it made sense to get him. So the -4 has been taken, and I might get rid of Botman for Saliba just so that's done for another -4. But I hate taking hits, so it's been really difficult. So there you go.
I like the Gordon move. I think you could be confident with him in the team.
Yeah, I quite like him, to be honest.
Yeah, and Maddison to Matoma in the next couple of weeks could be fine as well. So, because obviously, is Maddison going to be fixture proof? I'm not very sure.
Yeah, I'm not,
Son maybe
sure.
Could be, but Maddison, who knows? Yeah,
I feel like I've got, like I said to you earlier in the season, I quite like having like a spread of players, especially when we've got so many midfielders who are doing similarly. Like rather than having like any double ups in teams, I quite like having a front line of 7 different attacking players from 7 different teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's something I'll look at to do later the week, whether I'm going to do Botman, but I might just leave it. I don't think, like, Palace had kept 3 clean sheets in a row before they went to Newcastle and got spanked, and I kind of think that's more Newcastle than Palace. I think Tottenham are good, but I don't know if they're going to score 4 goals against Palace. Maybe they will score 1 or 2. We'll see.
Yeah, which is still possible. You expect the goals to be scored is probably going to be Son or Maddison. So
exactly.
there's still all potential in just like a 2-0 win or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I'd be like this week. It kind of I just don't like backing or doing a -4 for a defender. Like I don't think Saliba's upside is high enough, or any Arsenal defender's upside is high enough, even against Sheffield United. So yeah, that's where we are. Let's just see if we've got any comments in the chat that we can answer. Oh, Calvin FPL says, who's everyone captain this week? Watkins for him. So yeah, like you just said, despite this video, not sure. I'm like in my graphic here, I'm absolutely set on Salah. I think I'm not going to change that. Watkins is a strong second. Probably. Maybe I should move the vice
Just
captaincy.
not go the vice.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. But yeah, Salah over Haaland this week, and let's fingers crossed for a big return. Who's your? So the deadline's at 6 o'clock, 4 minutes time.
I think you've been quite convincing on Salah.
Have I?
Oh. So yeah, probably Salah at this point.
Probably Salah. All right.
But yeah, it's another case of I'm not sure. I'm not sure of fixture transfers. Not sure on captaincy. Like, so why? I think you could stick it on probably one of 6 people and probably be fine with it. And they'll probably all return. Yeah. So I don't think you can go that far wrong this week.
No, I kind of agree. But I hope it's Salah though.
Other than maybe Haaland might blank. So
yeah,
everyone else might be fine.
And we've got a deadline on Friday, haven't we, this week? Which is a bit different.
Yeah, Spurs short week turnaround. I can't believe they didn't.
I know, it's weird,
Monday and then Friday. Like, that's very strange organisation from Premier League.
Maybe they'll be knackered and Anderson will keep a clean sheet. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, possibly. Well, I mean, like, Udogie obviously went off early, which is really annoying. Yeah, he'll play, obviously. And then Salah, Son and Maddison went off early too, probably just for prep for this game. So, yeah.
Yeah, super. All right. Well, should we wrap it up there?
Yep.
Super. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in this evening. If you haven't already, we'd appreciate a like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do that too. Nice to see so many people, chatting. And we'll be back next Wednesday again to see how all the captaincies have gone.
Hopefully 100-pointer. I'd love to see that this week.
I know, 100-pointer.
I think it's possible.
Oh, God. We were close last week. We were 20 points and 13 points off.
Yeah.
Maybe this week. All right. Cool. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Bye, Kieran. Speak to you next week.
Cheers, all.